Hey everyone, Felix from Nintendo Life here. And today, I'm going to be taking you through my top 5 Switch games of the year 2022. And I'm not going to be doing it alone, because I have some help in the form of Alex.
Ah, it's me!
And we also have Sion.
It's some form of Alex and Felix, and me too!
So, for the next 3 days, we're each going to be sharing our favorite 5 Switch games from the past year. So tune in tomorrow for Sion's list, and the day after for Alex's. But...
Mine's the best list.
Hey Paisano, watch it!
Okay guys, so my first game, and these are in no particular order, is Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey. I never get tired of saying that.
Oh, it's a snappy title, that one, isn't it?
Never ending.
So in this game, you run around as little Shin-chan, and these gorgeous landscape. Like, it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can fish, catch bugs, and even deliver spicy curry. What do you guys think of this game when you see it?
I haven't seen much of it I'm really sorry, I haven't seen enough of it to form an opinion.
I want to live in it though, I will say. And I think if Alex spent enough time like checking it out, I think he'd want to hang out in that world too. Because it does look delightful, like really cozy and relaxing. And I still haven't played it yet, but I know like you spent a lot of time with it. So I'm stoked that this is on your list.
I was so excited when I got to do the review, and I just completed it right after I got all the gameplay and stuff, and there's just so much fun about this game. Like, there's almost no music when roaming around, but this just adds to the atmosphere of a Japanese countryside, although the music still slaps when it eventually plays. And the gameplay loop is also... well, you think it's going to get repetitive, and then it throws a new concept, a new storyline to progress this little tale.
I wanted to ask you too, does it play kind of, because I still haven't played it, even though like I was really hyped for it and everything this year. Like, does it play like a simplified version of Animal Crossing kind of, where you're just like walking around and chatting with people, and it doesn't work on a real-time clock, right?
No, it's like every time you enter a new scene, the time moves forward a bit, so you can actually spend, if you're just at one place and don't move from there, the day will never proceed. So it's like how many times...
Like Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach.
Is that on your list?
It's not on the Switch. I've never even played it. For some reason, that was the first example that came to mind.
That's amazing.
But I could see the similarities between Animal Crossing. Like, you can farm and you can fish and you can catch bugs, but it does something interesting with the story, and that's like the endless 7-day journey. It's in the name. That's all I'm gonna say.
Whoa.
Oh.
I'm really grateful that this game came to the West, because initially it didn't. It was like a year before we got it here in the West, and it's just really nice because the creator of this game also made a series called Boku no Natsuyasumi, My Summer Vacation, and those never came to the West. So it's just a way to finally experience what this type of game is about. We also have Attack of the Friday Monsters, but that's stuck on the 3DS, and that will be gone soon. So if the My Summer Vacation game seems interesting, this is a game to experience.
Do you feel it's a game that I would enjoy?
It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. It's a very, very chill game with like almost no danger. You're just roaming around these Japanese roads. So I think you would like it, but just look at some of the screenshots, Alex. It's wow.
I am a fan of the Studio Ghibli. Not enough to name my cats after the characters, but you know, getting there.
For anyone who doesn't know, my cats are named after Studio Ghibli. But the second game on the list is Return to Monkey Island.
Oh,
whoa.
So this was a game that I'd heard a lot of talk about because Ron Gilbert, the one who made the games, is back after making the first two. 3 decades after making the first two. So it's been quite some time. They had made a couple of games in between, and some of them are really good, some of them weren't. I actually don't know, I haven't played them. This is my first Monkey Island game that I've played, and the wonderful thing is that you don't need to have played any of the other games to enjoy this one.
That's really cool though, because obviously the Monkey Island games have a lot of heritage and a lot of history. So the fact that this is your first one and it's still one of your top 5 Switch games of the year, that's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a little storybook at the start that explains what happened in the first kind of games, but it's really simplified and you know what's going on as soon as you start the game. The art style is very different from the older games, but I really like how this game looks. We have a lot of very cool art styles on my list, and this is one of my favorite. You know what's also one of my favorite things? The hint book in this game. I hate being stuck in video games, and what Return to Monkey Island does is that it has this book that you can look in and it'll give you hints, but without giving it away. Thus, you don't have to go to the internet and search for solutions. The game has them, but it does it in a way, I think you have to experience it to know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't take any of the fun away, and that's what matters. The music also, super original and gives the whole game this special feeling, like I feel I'm at home, but it's the first time I played this game. It's a splendid job by the composer. And one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite games of this year is just, ever since I grew up, I've been a massive point-and-click adventure fan. There's just something so rewarding about finally finding where you should click, and this game does it to an S+. I feel like everywhere where you click, there is some kind of dialogue, some kind of Easter egg, and I can't get enough of it. And lastly, the controls are sublime on Switch, even going the extra step to have both controller options and touchscreen, which is...
It's a nice little wrinkle.
It is. But let's just move on to the next game because we don't have all day. It's not Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that came out this year, but another game in the series. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, I know this game didn't come out this year, but before the talk we agreed upon that if there was a game we really enjoyed that we played on Switch this year, we can include it.
Yeah, we wrote the rule book. We can burn it if we want to.
Wait, and you also like started the first game like a long time ago, right, on Switch, and then it seemed like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 maybe like propelled you to like give this like first game a shot again. So I mean, if I could be completely off base with that, but if I'm not, you could just blame Xenoblade Chronicles 3 then for this game being in your top 5.
I am absolutely blaming Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because that's what happened. I had tried to start Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition like once before, and I got like 20 hours into it, and I never finished it, but this year
Yeah, you barely scraped the surface, just spent nearly an entire literal day.
But what I was trying to say is that, yes, when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out, I just wanted to play them all from the start, so thus I started with Definitive Edition. This is one of the biggest and best games I've ever played, and I'm so glad I finally gave it a proper chance. So the reason why it's called Definitive Edition is because this is a remaster of a Wii classic. There's tons of quality of life improvements on top of the visual improvements, and the story and world building is just, there's nothing quite like it. It's massive, it just keeps going, it's just on another level.
I am thrilled that the jumping animation is still janky as all nonsense, because that was always something that really, I would say it stood out to me when I played it for the first time on Wii, and then over time I actually kind of got to love it for all the faults that it has, as in the jumping animation, not the game. There aren't, I mean, the jumping animation is one of the faults in the game, but the game itself is sublime.
I mean, even with all the faults, I think sometimes I worry that when a brand new game comes out, like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and maybe this is a bad example to use, but I worry sometimes that people look at new releases and they think, oh, like I'm never going to have the time to go back and play the originals, or should I even go back? Should I just dive into the new ones, Yeah. And it's really refreshing and it's like comforting in like this, I don't know, weird way that's hard for me to describe. But it's nice that you took the time to go back and play this one and that you wanted to, even though you already, like you started it, you put the effort in and you felt that you wanted to really go back and see it and see the whole thing and give it your time. And that's cool.
Like, I thought I had experienced what was to come, and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah?
Yeah, the game is so long, and it just keeps throwing new storylines, new characters, and new drama. This game is just one big drama. Never stops.
If there's one word to describe Xenoblade Chronicles, it is dramatic.
I do want to touch lightly on the music because it's wow. This is one of the soundtracks that I put in my earphones and go for a walk and just feel like I can slay a god.
Does it make you feel like you want to touch grass too?
Funny you say it, actually, because in the next game you actually do touch grass because it's Little Gator Game. Whoa!
Whoa! That just came out, my friend.
It just came out and I just beat it here a couple of days ago. And I'm very glad to say that it's just one of the best games I've played this year. It's only 4 hours long, but it just gives you this feeling of playing like a child, like with your imagination. You know, when you were a child and you didn't really have a lot of stuff to work with, but you were out on an adventure, and it's the kind of stuff that if you have the right kind of people to do it with, it's just some of the most fun you can ever have.
And I haven't seen, I've only seen like a bit of a few of the trailers for the game here and there, but it kind of looks like there are like a ton of different characters that you meet throughout the game. So is part of the game is part of the hook of the game making friends and like doing silly activities with them, or like how do the characters play into the game?
So it's like everyone is doing this whole big role-playing thing, and you're the main protagonist. You're coming across other animals, and they have quests for you. Like, some need to thrash these cardboard cutouts, and others just need you to skip a rock a certain amount of times. It's these animals, you recruit them to a town you're making just out of cardboard and stuff because you want to play with your sister. And this sibling relationship is what the story is really built upon, and it can get really emotional towards the end. I didn't think this game would hit me as hard as it did, but I have a little brother, and the stuff just really hit close to home. Like, just seriously touching stuff. I didn't at all cry, just a little bit.
Wow.
I've got to admit, the way that you described the gameplay, like, where you recruit other people, and it's like this town that you've just made, and other people, it's all role-playing and stuff. I was just like, I used to do that all the time as a child.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, it's like, yeah, I used to, do all these massive fanciful things. And it was like that was in break time, which was 20 minutes. I'm lucky if these days, if I can blow my nose in 20 minutes.
But it's what I mean, like, you don't have that feeling that much anymore. We've, grown old.
We're old and desiccated.
Yeah, but what I mean is, if you miss that feeling of feeling like a kid again, you get that in this game, and I think that is very hard to achieve. So please just check this game out if that sounds intriguing. And if you're wondering, what is it that gives you that feeling? Well, it's the gameplay. Like, it doesn't sound fun in practice. You're going around and thrashing cardboard cutouts that don't do anything, but it's because you have to imagine these slimes attacking you and you just attack back. That's what makes this game fun. If you like a short hike or just Zelda games, this is just the game for you.
All right, you've convinced me. I think I'm going to pick this up.
Yes! Awesome. I can't wait to hear what you think of the game. But the last game on my list, well, it's not a game, it's a DLC, but it's so big that it deserves a spot on this list. It's Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course.
Oh! I keep forgetting that came out this year. It's a fantastic DLC. It's sort of in my mind. Kind of feels like it's been part of the game for a much longer period of time.
Yeah, it's an absolutely perfect DLC that just expands on everything what made Cuphead great. I would go as far to say that this could just have been a sequel on its own. Everything is brighter, better, and yeah, just marvelous. So it's this whole new island. In the original game there's 3 islands, so now there's a whole new one, a 4th one, and it has 12 bosses, 6 proper boss fights and 5 mini parry-only fights, and also a secret that mixes the both. You also have a new character, Mrs. Chalice, that adds a whole new way of playing this game. You have a double jump, you have the invulnerability rolls, if you think Cuphead is too hard, you can try Mrs. Chalice out, which just makes the game a bit easier.
I feel I must interject. Miss Chalice isn't married, she's Ms. Also, actually, Ms can mean married or not. It's non-specific.
What did I say?
You said Mrs. And she's not a Mrs., my friend.
I thought it was the same thing. I'm very sorry, Alex.
Yes, I can't believe you would make a very small mistake in a language that isn't your primary one. Felix.
But what I wanted to say with Chalice, I'll just call her, is that these new bosses are really hard compared to the base game. If you think you got the hangs of it in the base game, you don't know what's coming. They just improve so much on the animation, and so much stuff is going on these screens with the new music. Oh, we need to talk about the music, guys. Have you had it?
Yeah, I've played the whole thing to completion. It's blooming lovely.
It is lovely, and Sion, you have a treat for your ears, because Christopher Madigan is the master of making these big band soundtracks.
I mean, I do I have heard a bit of the music here and there, I guess I should say, but I can't specifically pin it down. But the energy is next level. You're absolutely right. And it's authentic to the like style that they're going for too, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It fits 100%. And a last thing I want to talk about this DLC is just that it's co-op, because I love me a good co-op game, and I don't play a lot of games with my little brother. We talked about siblings just before, but this was one of the games that I really like playing with him, because if one of the persons who are playing aren't very good at the game, you can revive them with a parry, which is a brilliant mechanic. So if you have a more experienced player, you can revive the, well, less experienced player. Wow, good vocabulary, Felix.
They make a weird, the weird thank you they say is like, thank you. It's weird. I kind of love it as a result.
Thank you.
I don't know what Chalice sounds like, admittedly, because I've not played it multiplayer with Chalice.
I tried playing as Chalice, and she was just too different to play as. All my muscle memory just it didn't work out. So I just played as Mugman, the go-to guy.
Yeah, you're too hardcore.
When you played with your brother, did he play as Chalice, or did he play as Cuphead then, or?
Oh, he played as Chalice because he hadn't played as much Cuphead as me, so it was easier for him to adapt to the new controls.
Well, and that's really nice to hear too, because I love like 2D platformers, and I think a lot of people probably like that are listening can hopefully relate to this too, but I'm just bad at them. Like Mega Man style games, any of that arcadey stuff that's just punishing, I usually enjoy it, but like I just am not a fan of getting crushed and like having to repeat things, and so I'm glad to hear that you and your brother like had a good time with it, because then maybe that means that it's finally time for me to like give Cuphead a go, and hopefully other people that are listening to it too finally give it a chance now too. If you think it's gotten, I don't want to say gotten easier, but if it's more accessible now, I suppose.
I wouldn't say it's actually easy, because when you play as two people, the bosses have a much bigger like health bar, whatever you would call it. So it just takes a long time, but it's just fun to play together. It's really hectic, and you're just screaming, almost defeating the boss. And every time you die, it tells you how long you progressed, and sometimes it's just like you only needed 2 shots to complete it. And it can be so frustrating, but that's what makes it fun.
It's weird, because you would assume that frustration would not be fun, but it is. It's that push and pull. It's frustration and then getting to the end, and that's what you're aiming for, is that resolution at the end. The sort of, yes, I did it, after all that hardship. Because there are a few Cuphead bosses, not in the DLC, that I just beat first time, and they were less memorable as a result.
Yeah, the bosses like the dragon, this is from the main game, the dragon, the Dr. Robotnik, that's not his name.
I actually found the dragon quite easy. I've seen so many people say it's the hardest one in the game, and it's like, I think I had more difficulty with the rat in the tin can.
Cuphead, everybody.
Which one did you find the hardest in the DLC, Alex?
I'm not sure off the top. Oh, God, no, I remember. It's the bloody cow. What's her name? Esther Winchester?
Oh, really?
I know loads of people are like, oh, this is one of the easiest ones. Total opposite for me. I had the hardest time. I don't know why. They're just, I don't know. Maybe I was super tired when I was doing it the first time, but I had to stop and then pick it up again the next day. I couldn't do it in a single sitting.
I mean, it was one of the easiest one for me, but the one I struggled a lot with was the spider.
That's
I just
the
couldn't
easiest
get it down.
one, Felix.
No, it was so hard.
No,
Listen to
it's
you
not.
guys.
You just jump on the different levels and the spider goes, yeah,
I think it's because I played it with my brother and 2 people that it's just impossible. It was so hard. But there you can see the game is like, it's so different what you find the hardest and what you find the easiest.
It's
the game...
so funny that, you both are like just not complaining, but just like, come on, guys. That's so good.
But anyway, there you have it. My 5 favorite Switch games of the year 2022. They didn't all come out this year, but I did play them this year, and that's what matters.
Yeah, complain in the comments.
Have you played any of these games on my list, or have you been inspired to pick any of them up? Let us know down in the comments below.
And if you want to hear what my favorite Switch games are of the year 2022, then stick around for tomorrow. Or maybe you watch this later and it's out right now, but we'll put links in the description down below for Alex and I's videos as well, and probably plenty of the reviews for games that Felix talked about in this video too, because I think we have videos for just about all of them.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear my games, You'll have to wait 24 hours longer.
Unless they're a time traveler.
Whoa! Or they just happen to be watching this at a time that isn't the 24 hours before my video goes out, the 48 hours. Ah, damn it.
Touche.
I'm really looking forward to see what your favorite games are, guys, but that'll have to wait. Stay safe, play some video games in 2023 when that rolls around, and I'll see you in the next one. Felix from Nintendo Life, out.
Oh, it's not me next.
How is it seriously almost 2023 already? I say this every year, but I'm not a fan.